The House Beneath the Vines, Episode 5. Cherry. Holy shit! I jolted upright, the cigarette slipping from my fingers and bouncing across the counter. How long have you been standing there? Since you got here. Her voice didn't rush. It didn't need to. You walked right past me. She stepped forward into the kitchen light. Isaac West, I assume. A small smile touched her lips, not quite reaching her eyes, not quite showing her teeth. Sharon Spencer, Nihil Estate Planning, but you can call me Cherry. Her heels pressed into the glass as she moved, slow, deliberate, like the sound was intentional. She extended her hand across the island. I looked at it. The nails caught the light first, black, glossy, too dark. Then the skin, smooth, but wrong. I took it anyway. Yeah, that's me, I said, like I was admitting to a crime. My grip tightened slightly. What happened to your arm? I nodded towards the sling. That thing out there get you, too? Hold on there, cowboy. Her voice cut through the room, smooth as oil. We can play 20 questions in a second. Let's get you somewhere more comfortable. A small tilt of her head. Can you stand? I wasn't sure. With the adrenaline wearing off, my leg had started filing formal complaints. Loud ones. I still hadn't looked at it. Didn't want to. The survival kit was in my bag. A couple of those dollar store bandages might at least convince my body not to fall apart completely. After that, phone, help, civilization. Assuming that any of those things still existed out here. I think so, I said, summoning my best impression of a guy who had his life together. I'm not sure how bad it is yet. I braced a hand against the counter and shifted my weight. Pain flared, sharp, immediate, but I pushed through it and stood. Cherry watched me the whole time. I'm not concerned, not impressed, just watching. Living room's through here, she said, gesturing down the hallway with her good arm. Fireplace, couch, something that doesn't smell like an ashtray from 1973. Wait, I sucked in a breath as my leg reminded me I wasn't in charge anymore. You got a phone. She didn't miss a beat. Lost it in the woods. A flick of her hand, casual, practiced. But I think I saw a landline in the living room. She stepped around the island towards me. Come on, let's get you patched up. She extended her hand. Put your arm around me. Something in me recoiled. Not a thought, not a decision, just instinct. I stepped back, too quickly, then forced a stumble to cover it. I got it, I rasped. Her hand lingered there a second longer than it needed to. Then she withdrew it. A soft chuckle slipped out of her. Tough guy. She turned away. Try not to bleed out before we call for help. And just like that, she was already halfway down the hallway. I followed. What choice did I have? The hallway stretched longer than I remembered. Or maybe it was just this leg. Every step felt like dragging myself through wet cement. Pictures lined the walls. At first, normal. Family, holiday, faces I half recognized and half forgot. Then, not so normal. One frame held a hog's head. Cooked clean, eyes gone, teeth bared in something that looked a little too much like a smile. I remembered the pit feasts. They put the whole animal on the spit, everything but the head. It was left out by the road like some kind of offering to the sky. Why anyone thought to photograph it and hang it in the house, though, was far beyond me. The next image stopped me for half a second. A bonfire. Big. Wild. People moving around it, not dancing. Not really. They were flailing. Red cups in their hands. I remember that, too, and my cousin taking a sip of whatever the hell was in one of those things. He bled from the nose like someone flipped a switch. Nobody laughed. Nobody stopped. They just kept going. I swallowed and kept walking. Then I saw the last one. The tree line. Just the woods. Nothing special. Until you looked closer. I stopped. There, between the trees. Something darker than the shadows around it. Antlers. Not bone. Not quite. Obsidian. My stomach tightened. Yeah, I muttered under my breath. She saw it too. Interesting woman. Cherry said from ahead of me, not turning around. Your great-grandmother. She paused for a second then, and said, Eclectic tastes. I tore my eyes away from the photo and kept moving. Yeah, I said. That's one word for it. The hallway finally gave way to the living room, or at least what I remembered as the living room. Heavy canvases had been draped over the windows, swallowing what little light tried to push through from the outside. What remained came from a handful of wrought iron sconces mounted along the walls, each flickering like it wasn't entirely committed to the job. The room felt staged. A worn leather couch sat in front of a massive stone fireplace that dominated the far wall. In front of it, a stained glass grate. Vines, grapes, that same symbol again. It was starting to feel less like decoration and more like a signature. I tried to shake the fog loose, focus on something, anything that felt solid. My eyes drifted past Cherry to the mantel above the fireplace, and there it was, my great-grandmother's rifle. Short-barreled, lever action, hung in place on a pair of outstretched wrought iron arms like it had been put there for display, or worship. Chrome and pearl detailing ran along the frame, tarnished now, worn by time, but still catching what little light the room had left to give. The plaque below it read, The Midwestern Goodbye. It hadn't been polished in years. Didn't need to be. The thing carried its own presence. Heavy, solid, final. It looked less like something you picked up, and more like something you committed to. Like once it was in your hands, something, somewhere, was about to end. Have a seat. Cherry's voice cut clean through the room, calm and practiced like she'd said those exact words 100 times before. She moved past me, already at ease here, like she belonged. Maybe she did. I moved to sit on the couch, and Cherry sauntered toward the fireplace like she had all the time in the world. I stole a glance at her as she turned. Ruby heels, clean. Not just clean, untouched. No mud, no scuffs, no wear. Her stockings were perfect too. Not a snag, not a tear. I felt something tighten low in my stomach. How the hell had she made it through those woods in that? Had she been out there at all? The thought came and went just as fast. No, focus. One problem at a time. Right now, my leg. I dropped into the couch harder than I meant to, the leather groaning beneath me as the pain flared again. That did it. The adrenaline was officially gone. I was freezing. My clothes clung to me like wet paper, every inch of fabric soaked through from the rain. The cold had worked its way in deep enough that it didn't feel like something I could just shake off anymore. My teeth clicked together once before I forced them still. Great, I muttered under my breath. Between the bleeding, the cold, and whatever the hell was going on in this house, I was having a fantastic night. I slipped the pack from my shoulder, somehow still there, still intact, and let it drop to the floor beside me. The zipper sounded too loud when I pulled it open. I reached inside and pulled out the survival kit. The little army green pouch looked even less impressive in here than it had in the car. Still, it was what I had. I unzipped it and started digging through the contents. Gauze, tape, things that looked like they'd fall apart under mild criticism. Then it hit me. I stopped and looked down at my leg, then at my jeans. Yeah, that's not gonna work. I let out a slow breath. There was no way around it. I was going to have to get to the wound directly. I glanced over my shoulder. Cherry stood by the fire, her back half turned, one hand resting lightly on the mantel, watching the flames, or pretending to. I cleared my throat. You mind if I get some privacy? My voice came out thinner than I wanted it to. She didn't turn right away. Just stood there a second longer than necessary. Then, a soft exhale. Amusement. Oh, Isaac. She glanced back over her shoulder, that same not-quite smile touching her lips. After everything you just walked through out there, a slight tilt of her head, this is where you draw the line? She turned fully then, and for a split second, I got the distinct feeling she already knew exactly what my leg looked like. I didn't answer right away, didn't trust my voice to come out if it did. She took that as permission, or maybe she didn't need it. Cherry stepped away from the fireplace, slow, measured, each step deliberate, like she was closing distance she'd already decided didn't belong to me. "Don't be ridiculous," she said softly. "You're going to make it worse." Before I could object, she was already in front of me. Too close. The smell of her hit me then. Not perfume. Something cleaner. Sharper. Like antiseptic. Layered over something I couldn't place. Her hand found my knee then. Firm. Not asking. "Let's have a look." I tensed. Every instinct I had told me to pull back then. To stop this. But my leg, my stupid, useless leg, chose that moment to remind me I wasn't exactly negotiating from a position of strength. "Fine," I muttered. "Just be quick." That almost smile again. "Of course." Her fingers worked fast. Too fast. She tore the fabric back with her unbound hand, exposing the wound before I could really brace for it. I sucked in her breath through my teeth. "Jesus!" Not concern. Assessment. Like she was looking at something interesting, not injured. "You're lucky," she said. "Another inch and you'd be in real trouble." I didn't like the way she said that. Like she knew exactly where that line was. Something cold touched my skin, and I flinched. "Hold still." There it was again. That tone. Not a suggestion. A command. I clenched my jaw and forced myself to stay put. Her hand moved with quiet precision, cleaning, wrapping, efficient in a way that didn't match anything else about this place. Then, there was a sharp prick. Not at the wound. Higher up. My brow furrowed. Hey, what was... Relax." Her voice dropped slightly, softer, almost soothing. "You had something stuck in you. I was just pulling it out." Something about that phrasing didn't sit right. But the sting faded quickly, replaced by a dull warmth spreading through my leg. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "There," she said, finishing the wrap with a final neat pull. "Good as new." She stood, smooth, effortless, already stepping away, and for a split second, I thought I saw something in her hand. Something small, dark, gone before I could focus on it. "I'll get that phone working," she said lightly, already moving towards the hallway. "Try not to wander. This house can be confusing." She paused at the doorway, flashing that strange non-smile of hers. The sound of her heels faded down the hallway, slow at first, then swallowed completely by the house. I exhaled, sinking deeper into the couch. Please let that phone work. The fire had taken hold now, flames licking upward behind the stained glass grate, casting slow, shifting patterns across the room. I found myself staring into it, watching the light move, letting it pull me in. My body felt heavier, not just tired, weighted, like something had quietly added a few extra pounds to every limb. My eyes started to drift. No, I thought. Don't fall asleep here. Not in this place. Not with... My head dipped forward. I forced it back up, blinked hard. The room swayed slightly. The fire stretched, just for a second, like it was reaching towards me. Then it snapped back into place. Just a minute. My voice barely made it out. My eyes closed, and this time, they didn't open again.